So a few days ago, I saw the headlines. Instantly, I smiled, but the smile lasted about 3 seconds because, as per usual, the headlines are incredibly misleading on this issue. So you can see here, this is from Forbes magazine. They say, President Joe Biden just canceled $1 billion of student loans, and this is how America has reacted. And you see this smiley picture of him there, like, look at this guy, good old Uncle Joe doing right by the American people. Isn't that amazing? And virtually all the headlines are to this effect, talking about like, oh, look, see? He's canceling student debt. Stupid lefties, you were wrong about him. Well, look at this chart. This is what $1 billion of student loan debt cancellation looks like. This isn't a joke. That's a real chart. That's what $1 billion of student loan debt cancellation looks like. The remaining debt is 1.69 trillion, son. Trillion with a T. So do you see how this is really a slap in the face? Because that's what it is. It's a slap in the face. By the way, the total number is 72,000 people are getting student loan debt relief. And the people who are getting the student loan debt relief, according to, I think it was the article in Forbes, it's people who were just outright scammed by for-profit colleges. You know, ones that were basically shut down for scammy practices. So those are the only people who are getting their student loan debt canceled with this move from Biden. The total is less than 1% of the student loan debt is being canceled. I mean, how do you even respond to it? Listen, to everybody in the media out there, I know they love Biden, and so they view their job as like half defending him. A more accurate headline on this front would be, Joe Biden cancels less than 1% of student loan debt and slap in the face to the American people. Or in slap in the face to students. That would be the appropriate thing to say, because he has the ability to cancel all of it if he wanted to. He absolutely does. Or at least all of it held by the federal government, and there's a lot of it held by the federal government. So, I mean, listen, the main takeaway here is this is what we've been dealing with when it comes to the Biden administration. You'll always read a headline, and the headline will be something positive, and you're like, oh my God, that's great, look at that. The best example is when Biden was shutting down private prisons that the Department of Homeland Security uses. You read that headline, you're like, oh shit, he's banning private prisons. Some of them are just flat out misleading, where they say he's doing X, and then you read beyond the headline, and it's just not that. Some of them are truthful, but still misleading. You see what I mean? Like when you say, oh, he's banning private prison use for the Department of Homeland Security, people think that's more expansive than it is. When you look deeper in the article, you find out very quickly that he's keeping all, for example, the ICE private prisons, and over 60% of the facilities that ICE uses are private prisons. And so it's always like the tiniest percentage of change, and the headlines make it seem like it's this grandiose change. And it's total bullshit. And it all goes back to this narrative that the media has crafted of Joe Biden as, the next FDR, this transformational figure. And the reality of him is he's banal. He's a banal neoliberal corporate centrist, and he does stuff like this. I canceled less than 1% of student loan debt. Aren't I a hero? No, you're not. And it would really be great if the media would actually do their job and hold the powerful to account. You know, they're supposed to look at people who have money, power, influence, and be a watchdog of them. You know, be the voice of the people, be truth tellers, be crusaders against corruption and things of that nature. Instead, we get a media that's the lapdog of the powerful, and, you know, they basically half the time are doing puff pieces on Joe Biden and misleading you about what he's actually doing. So it's actually incredibly nefarious, in my opinion, with the headlines versus the reality, because they mislead people into thinking things are better than they are. You know, in the same way that when you look at the COVID relief bill, there are many provisions of it that are wonderful, but really they campaigned and promised $2,000 checks and $15 minimum wage. Those two main things were out of the bill, but the media kept doing their relentless propaganda on his behalf. So, you know, this is one of the reasons why people are turned off to politics, because everybody appears to be colossally dishonest, and they're not giving you the straight dope. And, it pains me that I have to be the one to come out here, idiot YouTuber with a loud mouth, to say, hey, here's the reality of what's happening. And then, by the way, some people have this weird Stockholm Syndrome thing. Well, they'll get mad at me for pointing this out. Okay. What am I supposed to do? The numbers are what they are. He canceled less than 1% of student loan debt. You want me to lie to you and say that's not the case? That would be a lie. I don't want to lie. I'm going to tell you the truth. You can interpret that however you want. You want to play defense all day long for a Democrat rah-rah team? Be my guest. But at the end of the day, I think that's kind of silly. And this is unacceptable. He should have canceled way more than this.